Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Let us gather here in the name of love that we might foster love for all beings. And now, this is a reading from Animal Chalice by Mark Causey. We light this candle, spark of the original fire of creation, to remind us that we all on this planet, the furred, the feathered, the finned, and the scaled, along with us featherless bipeds, we are all made of the same star stuff and all share a common destiny. We all share the same hopes of a life free from harm and suffering, and the same aspirations of happiness, love, and flourishing, being able to express our own unique natures and capacities as best we may. We are just that many diverse perspectives from which the whole is seen and experienced. We are inextricably intertwined, interconnected, and interdependent, and it is good. All right, now here's Jean to explore and celebrate the myriad traits and behaviors we share with our animal friends.
I recently came across these moving words in a short story by Avijit Das. The first day we met, she kept on looking at me with her tender and sensitive eyes. And from that day, whenever she and I met, I have felt strange sensations erupt inside my heart. She would come from wherever she would be to welcome me at my apartment. She gets into tumultuous joy when she sees me in the garden area where I sit in the afternoon to sunbathe. And in the evenings when I make coffee for myself, she stays nearby to keep me company. Leela truly loves me. You may have already guessed that Leela is a dog. Do animals really love or experience joy or other emotions like grief the way we do? Animals have traditionally been viewed as simpletons by humanity, incapable of emotions like empathy or grief that require complex understanding of relationships and mortality. But then dolphins have been observed encircling and lifting an injured or sick dolphin to the ocean surface so it could breathe. Elephants examine elephant bones they find in their travels and often will not leave the side of a dead elephant friend for more than a week. Rats will amazingly press a lever to prevent other rats from being soaked with water, even if it means that not pressing that lever will deny them a treat. I would like to address this emotion question now by considering a creature that has been maligned for centuries, the crow. Their evil intentions have been well documented in films like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, as dark icons along with black cats at Halloween, and as portents of doom, quoth the raven nevermore. Jeffrey Klugger expounds on the subject. Nobody feels cuddly about crows. They're too big, they're too loud, they're too mean. They chase down children who come too close to their nests. There's a reason a proper term for a flock of crows is a murder of crows. And it's not because we like having them around. Oh my gosh, are they really that bad? However, Kruger continues, but there's something deeper going on in the soul of a crow. The crow is deeply moved when one of its own kind dies. A dead crow lying in the open will quickly attract 2 or 3 other crows. With near ceremonial coordination, they land and surround the body, often in complete silence. They may bring sticks or bits of grass and lay them next to or even on top of the body. Well, which is it? Are crows little feathered demons or are they something else? I will reflect now on my own experience to get some answers. I moved into my apartment. I moved into my retirement village many years ago. Shortly after that, I observed several crows sitting on the rooftops. Also, at some point, our management temporarily banned bird feeders because the litter from them had attracted too many mice. I've always enjoyed feeding birds and contacted a bird rehabilitation facility, Avian Haven, about what I might start feeding birds that wouldn't attract mice. They immediately suggested dog kibble, and I now spread a handful on my sidewalk every day or so for the crows. The crows instantly discovered it. I started to whistle before feeding them. They always call back, letting me know they are coming. They sail down on beautiful black wings in a fan, sometimes quite close until I retreat inside my home. They quite obviously live in a family group, as the same number of crows always appears. The group hasn't turned into a deluge of crows. They must stake out territories. One day, my neighbor called me and said, "Jean, you need to come over and see this." Lying in the backyard of his cottage was the body of a dead adult crow. Very sad, but maybe what was even sadder was the live crow guarding it. It would only move away as we approached, but then return. After at least a day's vigil, it finally left. Why would this behavior be anything but grief? On a different day, I heard some strange noises outside my front door, a kind of scrabbling that lasted for more than a minute. I finally opened the front door and just caught the sight of crows flying away from my porch. Then I spotted several acorns on my doormat. I was confused at first, but also remembered a story I had read about a girl who regularly fed crows. They had been leaving her gifts in a hole in a tree very close to where she fed them. She would discover all kinds of small objects like bits of ribbon or yarn, paper clips, and candy wrappers. I suddenly knew my crows had left me a thank you gift. Empathy, generosity of heart, I will let you decide. My best story about crow emotion and mystery follows. One day, a management person informed me that an injured crow was lying in one of our village roads. I took it to Avian Haven, who informed me that it had a fractured wing but would recover. A couple of months later, they called me to say I needed to come get my crow and release it back into my village. What? How would I know when to do that so it could find its family? Maybe it wasn't from the village group. But I brought it home in an animal crate. My neighbor wanted to see the crow before I released it. I started across the village road to her cottage with a very silent and non-visible crow within my carrier. Suddenly, crows flew in from nowhere, cawing and landing on the roofs around me. How on this earth did they know? How? The crow in my carrier started screaming. I was stunned into inaction and stopped cold in the middle of the street. My heart was pounding just a bit as I slowly let the crow out of the carrier. There was a cacophony of sound around me as the released crow flew up to greet the others. But that's not all that happened. A few minutes later, I heard more noise out on my front lawn. I looked out my kitchen window and saw the rescued crow strutting around with an open beak, while several other crows were popping kibble into its mouth. A homecoming ritual? It was a scene of sheer joyous welcoming that I shall never forget. We do take for granted the joy we observe in some animals, like our dogs. How can we deny the joy we witness in many of their behaviors? But how many other animals experience that same joy? The joy in living experienced by all beings is demonstrated in the video that Trevor is now going to show us.
Thank you, Jean. That was extremely inspiring. And I hope you all enjoy this short video. It brought me a lot of joy for sure.
From the Outermost House by Henry Beston. We need another and a wiser and perhaps a more mystical concept of animals. Remote from universal nature and living by complicated artifice, man and civilization surveys the creature through the glass of his knowledge and sees thereby a feather magnified and the whole image in distortion. We patronize them for their incompleteness, for their tragic fate of having taken form so far below ourselves, and therein we err, and greatly err. For the animal shall not be measured by man. In a world older and more complete than ours, they move finished and complete, gifted with extensions of the senses we have lost or never attained, living by voices we shall never hear. They are not underlings. They are other nations, caught with ourselves in the net of life and time, fellow travelers within the splendor and travail of the earth. Trevor will now ponder the divine nature of animals.
Thanks, Jean. Last week, I returned home from a lovely Easter holiday trip, and upon arrival, found my ears were being treated to the telltale sign that spring had arrived. A chorus of peepers called out from the woods in every direction around my home. Their beautiful symphony was a welcome change from the deep silence of winter. It filled me with great joy and excitement. Sensing warmer temperatures upon us, these wonderful little amphibians emerge from hibernation and happily herald the return of creation. Holy messengers, angels, or however you may choose to think of them, the spring peepers faithfully carry this divine message like clockwork every year. Life is back, they tell us. Spirits run high. It is a time of year recognized and celebrated by many faiths and traditions because of this reanimation. The theory of evolution tells us that all life on this planet evolved from a single being, and by extension, all living creatures are part of an interconnected family. Bears, fish, snakes, tardigrades, and spring peepers, and yes, even humans, are part of this extended family tree, as we too are animals. If each one of us holds the divine spark within, then it is reasonable to assume that all of our family members in this tree, even the slimy and stinging ones, carry that spark as well. It is true that some faiths do not acknowledge the theory of evolution. Many believe that a god or gods created all life as it is, and many believe that all the other creatures were even created before humankind. This to me doesn't lessen the magic at all. Doesn't this mean that these animals, these creatures of many shapes and sizes, hairy and smooth, winged and finned, these creatures that share the land we live on also possess the divine spark? We all know the golden rule. It has been espoused in some form or another by religions over many centuries. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If we are all divine, then shouldn't this golden rule apply to all living creatures as well? The Sanskrit term namaste means something like, the divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. This one word is the perfect distillation of the golden rule. I am a part of the great mystery. You are a part of the great mystery. In honoring you, I honor all of creation. It is easy to honor someone we admire, someone we love, or who can help us. It can be much more difficult to ask ourselves to honor something we perceive as weaker than ourselves, less intelligent, or less helpful to our daily life. It was psychologist Richard D. Ryder who coined the term speciesism that so perfunctorily describes this type of thinking. He defines speciesism as the widespread discrimination that is practiced by man against other species. Speciesism is racism, and both overlook or underestimate the similarities between the discriminator and those discriminated against. In Matthew chapter 25, verse 40 of the Bible, Jesus tells us, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Can we not think of other animals as much as our brothers and sisters, as we do our neighbors, coworkers, and friends? It is my fervent belief that compassion originates from the shared experience of being alive, from the sense that we are all in this together, and all that comes with that experience. I have compassion for the pain of another, because it very well could have been my pain. Likewise, I have compassion for all the helplessness of a mouse, because I know deep down that in many situations I am helpless. I have compassion for the mosquito, annoying and scorned by many, because I know that even I, believe it or not, have the capacity to annoy others. The Dalai Lama once said, "Life is as dear to a mute creature as it is to man. Just as one wants happiness and fears pain, just as one wants to live and not die, so do other creatures." We see ourselves in them. And if we believe that there is divinity within us, then there must be divinity in all other life as well. And here we have a very short example of the divinity of starlings. This is called a murmuration, and scientists are still unable to explain this behavior. And if that beautiful display isn't an example of divine magic, I'm really not sure what is. And now I ask that we take a minute of silence to reflect on our shared existence in this great mystery. Thank you, everyone. And now back to Jean, who's going to celebrate our connections with animals and the joy they bring to us.
Trevor, thank you so much for your beautiful reflection on our shared divinity with animals. I'm thinking now, if we humans with less power than an omnipotent divine spirit know and are capable of great love for all life, wouldn't an omnipotent, all-powerful being also know great love for Earth's creatures? They must be a gift from that spirit given into our care. How lonely it would be without them. And what are their gifts to us? They provide loving connections. There is a moment in each of our lives when our heart first reaches out to an animal. Maybe it's a moment of emotional connection with a dog or cat, or maybe it's a feeling of compassion for a helpless creature in distress. In that moment, the wall separating humans from other animal species melts away. Loving an animal creates a sense of empathy, compassion, and respect for all life. Animals love unconditionally. Our interactions with them reduce anxiety, bestow feelings of trust and support, and encourage positive and non-judgmental relationships. A magazine, UU World, states, our love for animals may be a way to help us change course. We won't survive as a species with our current understanding and sense of entitlement toward the planet. We need a paradigm shift from owning the earth to being part of it. Understanding and respecting animals is one way humans can learn this paradigm. I'd now like to share some famous quotes from others elucidating the many positive feelings we have for our animal friends. I will share some random pictures taken from the internet to accompany them. It'll take me just a few minutes to get those pictures going. Whoops. Just 1 minute. you seeing the picture? It came up for a minute, but then it left. Just one more second here. Let me try this again. Hmm. Sorry, I'll try this one more time. And if not, I'll read just the quotes.
As I'm sure most of you know, it's always easier in rehearsal than it is on the day itself.
I don't know what's going on here. Can you see a picture?
I don't see a picture, Jean. Maybe you can just read us the quotes that you had selected.
I apologize. There is another way I can do this. It's not working. I don't know why. I apologize. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. Rumi. We rise by lifting others. Robert Ingersoll. Beauty is not in, this was a picture of a face of an animal, of a fox. Beauty is not in the, are you seeing a picture now?
Yes.
I'm going to start over. I don't know what happened. It just suddenly appeared. I'm starting over. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. Rumi. Well, the rest of the pictures aren't showing, so. Beauty is not in the face, beauty is a light in the heart. Khalil Gibran. Faith is the bird that sings when the dawn is still dark. Rabindranath Tagore. When I look into the eyes of an animal, I do not see an animal. I see a living being. I see a friend. I see a soul. A.D. Williams. Until one is loved an animal, a part of one's soul remains unawakened. Anatole France. Love the animals. God has given them the basis of thought and joy untroubled. Dostoevsky. True benevolence or compassion extends itself through the whole of existence and sympathizes with the distress of every creature capable of sensation. Joseph Addison. He prayeth best who loveth best all things both great and small, for the dear God who loveth us, he made and loveth all. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. When the last individual of a race of living things breathes no more, another earth and another heaven and another earth must pass before such a one can be again. William Beebe. Trevor is going to show us now a video of some joyous human-animal connections.
Thanks, Jean. Those are awesome quotes, even without the pictures. This here is a Blessing for Animals by Maureen Killeran.
Blessed are all living things. For the blessing of animal companions, we give thanks. For the beautiful ones, those whose fur is silky and those whose tails are long, whose feathers are brilliant or whose voices are splendid, we give thanks. For the frantic ones, the runts and the hungry, who run for the food bowl or a pat as though this is life's last possible gift, we give thanks. For the obnoxious ones, the heads that butt against us as we are trying to sleep, the bodies that refuse to learn discretion as they make digestive gifts, we give thanks. For those who bark and purr and growl and mew, For all who squeak or squawk or snarl or hiss, we give thanks. For the animals unknown to us, those whose niche in life's web is fragile, whose lives are insecure, for all who care for them and wish them well, we give thanks. Blessed are the animals. Blessed are the creatures who live with us and need our care. Blessed are the mammals and the reptiles and the birds who teach us we are not alone. Blessed are all living things from whom we learn to love. And my bird in the background really approves of that blessing. We hope that you enjoyed our service today. Before we end, we know how donating to Chime touches many lives. A donation button and Chime's mailing address can be found at chimeofmaine.org. Thank you. We would like to leave you with an uplifting Anglican hymn. Have a beautiful and a blessed day.
All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, He made their glowing colors. He made their tiny wings. The purple-headed mountains, the river running by, the sunset and the morning that brightens up the sky. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. The cold wind in the winter, the pleasant summer sun, the ripe fruits in the garden, He made them everyone. The tall trees in the greenwood, the meadows where we play, the rushes by the water, we gather every day. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all.
Hope you guys enjoyed that video, everyone. It's been a pleasure providing this service for everyone, and we thank you for attending. Please feel free to stay with us for some conversation, but if you have to leave, have a lovely day and an even lovelier week.